I also used it with the next client I'm about to introduce you to, and he's a guy, and I'll tell you about him. But John very graciously agreed to do my kettlebell exercises for me. I want this to stick in your mind. That's why we're doing it visually. This will be the girl kettlebells, then he'll do the macho guy kettlebell. But I'm only going to do it just to halfway. But the whole secret and there's tons of kettlebell exercises that you can do. But one of the easiest one that actually helps abdominally is to lift it, and you just use your hips to lift it, and you're just lifting it halfway, just like this. But John is going to lift it all the way over his head, and he's going to do it as fast as he can because he's doing short intensity. And he promised not to let go, so no one will be hit.
Everyone in the first row.
Doc!
Same exercise?
Yep, but you're going all the way above your head, but you're going to do it fast as you can. Yeah.
It's the first time I've used a kettlebell.
Can you believe it? That's perfect. And if you did that in a few intervals, especially if you can work up to a minute or two and then rest 60 to 90 seconds, you would feel it. It goes right to here. Mm-hmm. So.
Hey, you know what? The new curcuma veil is working. My shoulder feels great.
That's awesome. I didn't tell him to say that, but he's right. So these are just some different ideas you can give to your clients. So I absolutely love kettlebells, and that's just 10 pounds. I'm sure he could do way more than 10 pounds, but they've got some huge ones I could never think of working with, but you could do the one hands, anything to get you moving. But what's even more important, which is why I like it, it creates these new neuronal connections. I want to change your minds, and I want to change your mindsets. I want to encourage you to use creativity. I really do. That's why, and a lot of people do this, I focus on not just energy, but vitality. And that's what, as you said, centers around the whole thing, mind, body, soul, spirit, all of that. But just doing new exercise, even though this might seem simple with the bands, it's something different that they've never done, because I need all the help I can get with them. Because again, my particular clientele, which probably some of you have this, they are close to burnout. They're just down. So I need new pathways. I need new connections. I need them to do something different. And if they see that I'm really interested in their whole life, and when I determine which exercise is best for them, they more than likely do it. And they are happy because they don't necessarily have to go to the gym. They can do those things at home. Plus, at the same time, I'm automatically working on helping them to relax and sleep at night. For Becky, we did the catecholacom, but I did hers early in the evening because of her cortisol levels. We needed to do that. I also gave her an instruction to start drinking holy basil tea or turmeric milk tea in the evenings, even later, and that helps you to relax. Of course, holy basil is a very adaptogenic a beverage, so it helps her to adapt to the stress, even if it's stress she created, along with the catecholacom, which is an adaptogenic supplement. The turmeric milk tea, as long as you're not reacting to it, anti-inflammatory, also very relaxing. And she used a base of coconut milk or of almond milk, but you could also use water. And if you need a recipe, just let me know. But that's one. Her mindset shift was, I suggested to her that she have this be a friend first mindset and literally enjoy some non-work, no expectation time with the people that you trust. Someone, I think you said it over there, or someone, yeah, you said it, where it's, oh, Kel, there's no one to really demand things of, nothing to do. So we'll sometimes get with some of these people and just have a no work, no expectations time. Just enjoy yourself. And that took a lot of pressure off, because I know, it probably won't be me, but there's going to be some people, in addition to Dr. Masley, who wrote the books about stress and how it affects the gut, how it affects the enteric nervous system, how it affects the brain and brain inflammation. So we may as well start now with how they respond to stress. I'm going to emphasize more and more relaxation and just considering thinking differently. And just in case, someone feels a little, let's say, apprehensive about even suggesting that, this is a nice book I found called Eat Q, Unlock the Weight Loss Power of Emotional Intelligence. And it addresses stress, it addresses mindsets, just different things to optimize the supplements you're taking and the food that you're eating and your exercise. It even has one chapter in here called Fight or Flight and the Big Belly Plight. That's really interesting, and I've got it marked in case you want to use it, because she really talks about how the fight or flight response will add to your belly fat, and it 100% does. And then, like I have them keep informal journals, but in this one you have somewhat of like homework assignments or so, and it just asks you to write down how you're thinking about it, how you're feeling about it. It even talks about the foods that buffer the effects of stress, which are a lot like the foods I wrote in my other slide: the dark chocolate and the leafy green vegetables, the kiwi, things like this that help to blunt the effects of stress. So at least this gets them to thinking in that direction. But again, I know that you're going to see more and more books, literature out like this that helps people to think that way, in addition to what you're doing. Because again, I don't want them to come back to you and keep saying, oh, it's not working, when there's this whole part that we need to look at. Plus, it helps you as well. And then, of course, for her, it was great to advise her to pray and meditate, because she would never take time out to do any of that, to just think or to pause much in the morning, because it was always go, 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 go. Make sure he's doing it right. Make sure she's doing it right. Make sure this, make sure that, and never pausing, never stopping. So it's nice to be able to reiterate that. This is an email that she sent me. She said, I did have lab work done at my primary care doctor. My A1C was 5.7. Blood pressure 132/84, urine normal, weight 185, 10 pounds down from October visit. Don't you think my A1C dropped from 7.1 to 5.7 was good? I was pleased, but certainly want to get that lower. She put that in there really fast. I said, that's Becky. And so, but hey, she's changed. She's a lot better. And then, so as of 121, her weight's down even more. So she did a really good job, but I want her to keep what she has gained, or the weight loss that she's acquired. I want her to keep that. So more and more I'll kind of emphasize when I see her falling back into negative thinking habits. And I'm sure you have your entire arsenal of different nutrition books, cookbooks, list books, or whatever, but I just brought some of these just because they've been some of the ones that's been easier for me to introduce. One, which I've loaned out, that's why I got this one. It's the Zen Belly Cookbook, and it's very paleo, but it's an Epicurean's guide to paleo, so it's a little bit elegant and gourmet. I really like that, and it's gluten-free. You've heard of it already, yeah. Which, by the way, my daughter would really love your cap that you have. It's really elegant. So I was like, I've been wanting to tell her. Did they? Okay, I'm glad my 18-year-old is here. She'll want it. It's like, no, leave it alone. But it's, but this is the Zen Belly Cookbook. Very elegant and very nice, and pictures all throughout. Yeah, so that makes it so much easier. So this might be one you want to check out. I brought the one which one of the doctors really liked it up here, called Extraordinary Vegan, because I like it because it gives you ideas to add to what you're doing. Maybe some people, and I don't really push veganism or anything, I'm not even vegan, but it has beautiful pictures and ideas for if there's someone who needs to incorporate more vegetables and ease their digestion. I find this one to be very helpful. Extraordinary Vegan, and he says so many people aren't even vegans, and they use this because of the creativity in the recipes, and creativity is big. So even for people who are very low on motivation, just looking at this will help. They might not have the energy to do it, but looking at it for a while until they get there is really wonderful. So I'm big on creativity. And then you're probably fans of Tom Maltaire, Nourishing Meals. So this is healthy, gluten-free recipes for the whole family. He and his wife, Alyssa Sergenstern, I'm sorry, Alyssa. So these have wonderful, wonderful menus on here. And I think this is actually John Donald's favorite. I'm telling you all his business. But I think this is one of his favorites. And he is really into feeding his children really healthy. And I know that he and his wife use this cookbook a lot. And then finally, the newest one by Stephen Masley and Johnny Bowden, Smart Fats. And again, most of you say you agree with the whole Smart Fats thing. So yeah, this came out on the 19th and they delivered it to my door. And one of the sections in here, I just want to just read it. And it says the adrenals are responsible for sending out powerful hormones, and it goes into all that. And he says stress hormones are responsible for making you instantly alert, locked, and loaded, ready for action. Your blood pressure goes up. These are all good things. But if you high levels of cortisol increase insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, and heart disease. High levels of stress hormones like cortisol lower immunity, which is why marathoners who put their body through enormous physical stress during an event often get sick a week after. Cortisol also breaks down muscle and causes your body to gain weight, especially around the middle. And fat around the middle happens to be the most metabolically active and dangerous fat on your body, greatly increasing the risk for all bad things. That is why stress management is not an optional add-on to the Smart Fat solution. It's essential for success. And so he goes into a lot about this. I had you guys do the psychological well-being exercise of writing gratitude for what you appreciate about John, create your oxytocin and so on. I do that a lot. It's one of the things that helps me deal with stress is gratitude, but also generosity is one. I love to give. That helps create oxytocin. I like this book very much. I'm going to get another one, but I'm going to give this one away today. And I'd already made up my mind who I was going to give it to. There's a doctor who came here really early. And at first I thought, oh, she's here early. It's like, that's okay. But she was so sweet. And she just came up to me and said some really encouraging things and talked about clinical rounds. And she just said, it's going to be all right. You're going to do a great job on this. And I said, John, I'm giving the book to her. I really want to give it to her. So Dr. Deborah Clapp, would you please come up here and you can have this book, and I appreciate you and I thank you, and a great way to build up my oxytocin because I want to give this to you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. I hope you like this book and it helps your patients. We're all partners who are in a mission because as much as we want to heal people, everybody, we probably all want to do more than we're capable of doing, not because we don't have the knowledge and none of us know it all. We are limited by a physical body. We've got to take care of ourselves too. So it's kind of nice to know all these other people who do all these things and they can help people in different areas or help you. It's great. So we're just going to continue to upgrade the face of health care. So, and vitality acquisition, that's a new word. Wow. Okay. So I want to introduce you to Eric, my last guy. He's super interesting. This was a new experience. So Eric is the one who says he has tried every diet, every vitamin, and he was frustrated. And I have the big word, not. He was not frustrated. He was angry. I mean, angry. But you couldn't tell. I mean, really. He had as gentle and a calm exterior as Dr. Deborah, seriously. But you could not tell he was angry until you got involved with him. As a matter of fact, when I started to find it out, I said, Doctor, did you know? He's like, oh, well, yes. As a matter of fact, when he first came to our practice, not only was he angry at me in the session, but as he was walking down the hallway, passing each one of my staff members, he's angry at every one of them too. Had something to say to them. Everybody's just, whoa. And that was just the first appointment. Wow. And I thought, because he's just so professional, so calm, and he has a lot to offer. I mean, he's smart. He has a lot to offer. He does certain things. I want to keep him totally anonymous Anonymous, that's not even his first name, but it was just incredible that once you got into it, you could just see that anger start to rise as he challenged you on what you were recommending. And it was more than that. I mean, it just really was deep. He was extremely, extremely impatient. You know, we've been talking about process the whole time, but he was really impatient. The more he spoke, the more he kept going, the more the anger would kind of erupt, especially if you said something, I've already done that, you know, or, well, I'm doing this. And, you know, no, none of us are really doing everything we think we're doing, but it was really something. And he brought labs with him from Dr. Stewart that showed his cholesterol levels were high, which I put that there because it kind of made me know I needed to look at his liver, see what's going on there, because that's involved in anger too. And he says, on his own, he says, I'm just like my mother. I'm exactly like my mother, angry. You know, our genetics are the same, just angry. And he even told me, he said, I know this isn't your field, but I know I have emotional outbursts, and sometimes it's really unfair to my wife and my girls, and I would really like to stop. But right now, I want to lose this weight. I'm 6'1", 260, and I am best at 235, and the more that I do, I just can't seem to lose my middle and all that. So he did calm down enough, but we ended up looking at his mindset, and one of his deepest mindsets was, they're wrong, they're all wrong. And I think that was because he was angry, because nothing really, in his opinion, worked for him, or it would work for a little while and it didn't work anymore. So people were wrong, but not just in the nutrition. Let's see, he has a certain type of business, and you can invite people to partake in the business. But if they wouldn't partake in the business for whatever reason, like maybe they didn't know him, maybe they were busy, he was angry at them. He was really, really upset with them. It was like their prerogative. They don't have to be there. There's nothing wrong with them, but he was angry. And he said, again, I don't want these angry outbursts, but they, my family, friends, business associates, they don't get it. Why don't they get it when I see it so clearly? Very, very impatient. And that came up quite a bit. Again, he had a calm exterior, but internally he was angry. So he was actually putting himself in that sympathetic nervous system response all day. And I know that that was a lot of where this was coming from. With him, these are supplements that I put him on, not even all, but some. The L-glutamine, the LVGB, catecholacom, and the magnesium glycinate powder, or the magnesium chelate powder. Which one do you think, which two do you think worked really, really well for him, made the biggest difference? Yep, catecholacom, and what else? Magnesium worked really well, but actually for him it was the glutamine that made a big, big difference. As a matter of fact, and that's in the next slide, him in his own words, he said, there's just something about that glutamine, because I was about to take him off of it thinking maybe he was getting overwhelmed at some things. He said, I don't want to stop that glutamine. The glutamine really, really works for me. And of course, catecholacom and magnesium worked for him too, because it would help bring him out of fight or flight. But with the L-glutamine, it can be converted to glucose in the kidneys without affecting glucagon and insulin counts. Therefore, it contributes to the energy supply while being able to bypass the insulin-induced fat storage. It counteracts the storage of dietary fats and thus helps to regulate weight. And it also, of course, as we know, helps to reduce the cravings for sugar, and it can also reduce cravings for alcohol. He didn't really have a problem with craving alcohol, but he did have a problem with just craving different foods, especially if they're either sugar-based or unhealthy fat-based, like maybe pizzas and things like that. He just really craved them. But the glutamine actually helped him very much with his energy, and it helped to fight the fat that he was storing. As a matter of fact, we did look at one of his old labs that doctor had for him a while back, and his adrenals, as he kept telling me, my adrenals are just shot. They're just shot. They're just down. Again, he was in fight or flight most of the day. They were shot, but also his glutamine levels were low. And we looked at his ions and we looked at his amino acids. His L-glutamine levels were low. And I didn't know this before I started him on the glutamine, but when I because it took them a while to get it to me, but it showed it was. And Genova has taught us to suspect hepatic insufficiency or some type of hepatic toxicity, some type of error. So I actually put him on the LVGB because sometimes he would say there'd be a little issue whenever he would eat some fats or so. So in addition to telling him the truth, nicely, gently about his anger and what was going to continue to get worse, I wanted to actually baby his liver and help him to emulsify the fat, restore the glutamine. At the time, I just wanted to use the glutamine to help with the weight loss. I didn't know it was going to give him such vitality and such life, some more energy. So he actually did start to lose his belly fat. But what was so significant, more than just the weight loss, was after 8 weeks, because we didn't get together right away after a month. I was a little scared, but we got together. He laughed. He actually laughed on the phone, and he was nice, and he talked. It was just incredible. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I mean, he could still get up there some, but he actually had somewhat of a breakthrough. That's even one of the things I talk about is the endorphins. I mean, I have different types of comedies that I recommend to people all the time to get them laughing and stop taking life so seriously and stop being so angry. It's just bothering you. You need some endorphins and all. And another thing that he was doing, and I haven't totally capitalized on this yet, but he did a lot of cycling and in the endurance type of way. And sometimes he did his other exercises that demanded more physical strength, but I feel that he did way too much of it. I also think that he had certain foods with MSG in them. And what I learned was that foods like MSG, too much exercise, all these type of things, they raise the neurotransmitter, known as acetylcholine. You can have too much acetylcholine. Of course, you can have a deficiency of acetylcholine, but you can have too much. And when you have too much acetylcholine, that creates anger also. You knew that. I didn't know that until I dove into it. So we had to back up. Even though I love your eggs with hydrolyzyme, we had to back up with his eggs. We had to reduce anything that I suspected was going to cause him to have even greater levels of acetylcholine, as well as do exercise. Like, I'm okay with him doing the metabolic aftershock. I think that's perfect for him. But I think his exercises had a lot of aggression in them because I've got to do it. These people don't know what they're talking about, and I'm just going to lose weight. And it wouldn't budge. It wouldn't go anywhere. But you know, when you're in sympathetic nervous system response, it's not going anywhere. No matter what you do, it's going to make it worse. So he was, and again, just suggestions, just considerations. Consider your anger, which he already was because he saw how it hurt his family. So to have another person, a practitioner, say, consider your anger, it's going to take you back and it's going to stall everything. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to hurt your liver. And stop eating MSG, by the way. It's just really going to be a problem. And he listened to that. And we are already working with him in his second phase. But the L-glutamine, restoring those levels, starting to detox the liver. I think he's okay now to do a detox. He didn't want to at first because I've already done that. Nobody knows what they're talking about. I think he's okay for that now. But really clearing the liver and helping him with that, reducing cravings overall. I am very happy with the L-glutamine for that. And he was able to come down. And he said, he was laughing and he was hopeful, and he reported that cravings for junk food are way down. And he didn't even tell me about the junk food cravings before. I mean, I knew about regular cravings for this and that, but he never just said it outright because he was too busy looking at everybody else. But cravings for junk food are way down. And then he said, I'm down 10 pounds. There's something about that L-glutamine. I've lost it mostly off of my waist. He was extremely happy about it. But I honestly think that if we hadn't really looked at the anger issue, if we hadn't kind of dove in and thought about acetylcholine and just reduced some of the aggression, it might not have worked. I mean, still, I might have to just make the referral out to someone else as well to help him handle stressful issues or whatever, but I'm happy to have at least established a foundation. So I'm satisfied with that, and we're going to keep going now that he's actually workable and all that. But if you ever see something like that in your clients, when they're just really angry a lot, that is just as important as seeing someone who is suffering from loss of motivation or boredom or overwork or so on. That's a big one. So we look straight at the liver. Because really they'll tell us all we need to know sometimes when they just talk to us, or we look at their reactions/responses. We're trying to get responsive. We're trying to get away from reactions. We're trying to get better responses. So, and it's going to take him a while to train in that, but he's doing so much better, and it's easier for the things he's using to work because he's not putting himself right back in fight or flight. So he's going to be on Catacolicalm for a little while. That's just been a miracle supplement because it's just wonderful at relaxation. But I know that I'll eventually put him on Neuromag as well because I want to think about his brain. There's just so many things, so many different levels to think about. When you, like he said in his book, when you've got that kind of bad fat, it can affect cancer, it can affect your brain and so on. So it would behoove us to look at the whole thing that way. So here's my why I do it this way, how I get personal, why I do it this way. The way I even began in this was because I was asthmatic. I always call it I was born dying because I was just sick and I was in the hospital all the time, and the only reason I was adopted was because I was dying, and she felt sorry for me. And so she said, let's just try to pray her way into life because she's really bad. So whoever gave birth to me, I think they couldn't afford to feed me or something. So I was dying of starvation and all, but somehow it worked and I lived. But I had a lot of years of just asthma allergies. And being in the South, you don't make the connection that eating all that fried food and flour and cakes are what's causing the problem. But I got desperate, so I studied so that I could get myself well, the long, slow route, the process. And I did say I promised I would teach other people how to do it, and that's what I did. And it was good for a long time because I hated being sick, but I really hated being tired. That was the deal breaker. I couldn't stand being so tired. So when I was able to restore that with a lot of the things we talk about today, I was happy. But where I messed up was, as a practitioner, I had no boundaries set up. I had no boundaries, no standards. So patients, clients, they could come, they could ask me all these questions. They'd call on the weekends, they'd send the emails on the weekends, and I'm there to help them and all. Or I never had a standard on working with certain people and not working with other people. And sometimes I worked with people who weren't very grateful at all. Ingratitude to me is like kryptonite to Superman. It really is. And it would just wear me out. And it really did end up throwing me into adrenal fatigue, because when I really realized this person who I was, a particular client I'm thinking of, I was setting up on a pedestal, really wasn't grateful and was really doing a lot of mean things, attacking my practice, I internalized it and I crashed. Not totally bottomed out, but crashed, very close to burnout. And so I had to start over in a sense. I didn't get asthmatic or anything again, but I had to really build my energy. And it was sad if I watched myself help someone else, but then I was tired myself. I couldn't be that way. So I had to start to do things, Neuromag, Catacolicalm, rebuild myself, do the whole digestion thing, all of that, but do it wiser by setting up boundaries. No calls on the weekends, no emails. I cut it off at 5:30. I have no problem calling in other practitioners to help you here and there, so on and so on. And it wasn't as wild as I thought it was because I started getting more doctors coming into the practice. But what was I seeing with them? I was seeing so much autoimmune disease. It was happening to them, and it was really making me sad. It still does, because they're saying, well, I have to help my patients. I have to. And I really can't take too long off because they need me. And this was a major phrase of theirs. I feel guilty. And we weren't even built for guilt, but I feel guilty about not helping them. And I had to tell them that I know you're helping people. I know you're burning the candle at both ends, but what you're doing is not a noble thing. It really isn't, because you are supporting others while sabotaging yourself. And we can't have a stellar company like Designs for Health and we use these products only to go down, down, down while helping everybody else. So you can support other people, but you have to support yourself at the same time. And for me, my habit, my practice that I'm doing, my bad habit was I tended to ruminate over things, especially hurtful things from the past. And then I was corrected. You've got to meditate, not ruminate. And so I know that with all the exercises I might do or helping people, if I fall into the poor mental habit of ruminating, and I was even sharing this with Jonathan, the president of this company, the other day, if I fall into rumination, it's going to go right here. It is, because my stress levels are going to go up and I'm going to store. I know it. I know it. And I'm built just right so I can hide it, but except for to the very watchful eye. But so I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a hypocrite. And I want to tell them the reason I can tell you these things is because I've either lived it, I've done it, or I've seen other people and I feel so strongly about it. I want to tell you the truth so you can do it. Not just so you can help your clients, but so you can help yourself. And that's our mission. We're going to raise the standard by being models. And when you put the brakes on and you help yourself and you do these things, they're going to follow you because they understand that it is that important and you set the standard. And so they follow that standard. And I'm telling you, there's another doctor I worked with. You don't want to bend over backwards and just sacrifice your own health and family to help some clients, because sometimes they aren't grateful and they can turn on you. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that, but they really can. Oh, okay. All right, there you go. They really can, and it's awful. So don't be afraid to set the standard of taking care of you first so that you can be fully charged while you're taking care of other people. It will make them respect you. And if they don't, they can step. You go ahead, because you're not going to just use yourself up and be depleted. And they go on with a great life and your longevity is cut short. So the stellar healthcare professional will raise the standard of lifestyle weight management by considering not only food and function, but also habits and mindsets that produce well-being. And we're going to see that word popping up more and more, well-being. I want to see life in your eyes. And no, we're not looking at every little thing, but I know that there's some life there and you respect yourself enough to take care of you. And if you take care of you, I trust the supplements you're using. They must be great. I trust your habits. I trust what you're doing. That's really awesome. And that's the way you want to do it. And it takes practice. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that I never go back into the past. I see myself slip. So I surround myself with people who are real friends, true friends, who will tell me the truth and say, oh, you're going there. Don't do that. Thank you for loving me enough to care. It's not about just the money, this or that. It's about somebody who really cares about me, really supports me, so I can support you guys. And I can encourage doctors to support themselves. So I really thank you for allowing me to say all of that and to be truthful. Now I feel better. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your support, just for everything. And Designs for Health thanks you, and they're going to keep on creating better products, great products, but they also encourage lifestyle. As a matter of fact, the reason I'm still with this company, because when my father was really ill, the Designs for Health leadership, Jonathan, Linda, all of them, at the time, they sent me this huge box of supplements just to help him extend his life. I didn't even have to pay for it. I will never forget that. I will always be grateful. So they are grateful people. Life happens and they know it. So you guys have done a lot. I wish I could hear all of your stories, but I'm sure John will be telling me some of those. But thanks for hanging out on a Saturday. So we're done now. So thank you. References.